everyone, this is Roman, your #1 online resource for buying property. And today I just want to cover some myths that typically first-time home buyers have when deciding whether to buy a home or not. Number one is needing a 20% down payment. Back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, when someone was considering buying a home, they needed 20% typically as their down payment to get a lender approved first loan. Today, that is completely out the window. There are 5% loans, there are 10% loans, there are 20% or more loans, of course, to give to keep your payments lower, and of course to give more security to a lender and give you more security. But there are 3% programs out there right now. 3% first-time homebuyer programs out there. There's down payment assistance programs. 20% right now is not even a good idea, because you're getting so much more money if you can invest the money yourself and get a good return on that investment. Today, the mortgage rates are so low that I wouldn't even recommend putting 20% down in your home if you can avoid what's called PMI. Mortgage insurance. If you can avoid that, and your lender could speak to you a little bit about that, about how to go about avoiding PMI through maybe a combination of a first and a second loan, then I would never today put down 20% on a home unless I'm looking for security, unless I have income issues and I wanted to maybe pay off a home completely, because the interest rates are so low. You can get a 15-year loan right now for 3.5, 3.75%. You can place your money and get much higher return on your money if you know what you're doing and you invest with people you trust. Definitely, people that invest with us and buy properties with us, they get a return anywhere from 6% to 12%, depending on what we're doing. So, of course, you have to be accredited. I have to take you through a whole process on that. Not everyone can invest with us. But that's just the first myth. 20% down payment, out the door. No. Second myth, real estate agents are expensive. This is one of those things where if you think this is expensive, try doing it without this. So real estate agent, first of all, for a buyer, doesn't cost you anything. The seller pays for our services. The seller pays us to bring them the qualified buyers. So it's not at all expensive to have us on your side. Have a good buyer's agent on your side. But the most important thing is that if you don't have someone that you trust protecting you and someone that knows what to watch out for in a property, a lot of the homes that are being sold today are new construction. And even new construction homes have a lot of defects built into them, and they have a higher warranty. But imagine what the old homes are dealing with. There's a lot of renovations out there, a lot of people fixing up properties, making them really nice and cosmetically fixing them up. But the bones, they're not touching. They're not going in there and retrofitting and securing the foundation. They're not going in there and looking behind every single wall to see if there's any issues behind those walls. They're not even looking a lot of the times into the attic, and it's up to the inspector. But the inspector that a buyer hires only looks at really the essentials. If there's an issue with major systems, they just point your finger to it and then have you go and look, hire someone who's a specialist about that particular item. Such as foundation, such as electrical, plumbing. And so therefore, it's very important you deal with someone you know on the buy side to watch your back. And the best part is, real estate agents are expensive. On the buy side, they don't cost you a penny. All right, myth number 3, don't call a real estate agent until you're ready to buy. So this couldn't be further from the truth. Number 1 is use a real estate agent to help you line up the processes before you buy. So in our program, House Buying Blueprint, we talk about all of the things that you need to do before you can actually look at properties and make an offer. You can look at properties all day long, go on Zillow, put an alert on. There's a number of different companies like Zillow out there. You know them, Redfin, Julia, all those things. So you can look at them, but until you're ready to make an offer, there's a lot of steps that you have to do beforehand. And if you call an agent right away and let them know that, hey, I am starting to look, they will give you the checklist of the things that you need to do. Because you could be looking at a property that's $1 million because you think that's what your budget is, but you haven't analyzed exactly your income, your taxes. You need to have a mortgage professional check and tell you exactly what you qualify for. Imagine you find that home. You finally found that home. Oh, I want this house so bad. And then you realize it's about $200,000 more than you can qualify for. It's going to sting. So call them early on. Call someone that you trust early on to work with you, to help you get you ready for that point, for when you're ready to submit that offer. Number 4, fixer-uppers are more budget friendly. So this is a yes and a no. Okay. Number 1, fixer-uppers are more budget friendly. This is true in one aspect. Number 1 is that you will get a better purchase price on a home that's a fixer-upper, and it'll even pay you to go in and fix the property up the way you want. How beautiful is that? I get to go in and pick my own granite, my own counters, my own colors, my own flooring. I get to pick all of that. I can make my dream kitchen. Yes. Here's the key. Here's the catch. Is that in order to do that, you need to first of all purchase the property. So whatever the down payment is, you need to come up with that. And then after that, you need all cash out of pocket. So let's say that you have a complete fixer-upper. You need the house was built in 1960. Nothing's been done to the house since. Assuming all the systems are okay, meaning the HVAC, the air conditioning, heating is okay, the electrical's okay, and the plumbing's okay, and let's say the roof's okay. You're going to need at least $40,000, $50,000 depending on the size of the house. And that's kind of a start depending on where you buy and what kind of house you buy and what area. For example, you buy a $2 million home. To renovate that home, let's say the same 2,000 square foot home, you buy it in a less expensive area where the price may be $500,000 versus you buy a 2,000 square foot home in an area where that same home will go for $2 million. Your amenities that you're going to put in these two places are completely different. And you have to also make sure that you do that correctly. You cannot put Home Depot items into a $2 million home. You're going to have a heck of a time reselling that thing, and you're not going to get your money's worth back. So your budget on the $500,000 property to completely renovate 2,000 square feet could be as low as $40,000, but really you're looking at $200,000 or more when you're looking at a $2 million home. Now, where does that money come from? That's going to come out of pocket. And that is why a fixer-upper is a great deal if you have the money. Because you can get that $500,000 home, let's say it needs $50,000 worth of work, you can get that $500,000 home for $400,000, giving you an extra $50K of built-in equity once you're done with all of it. Okay, on the $2 million home, if it needs $200,000 worth of work, maybe you can get that property for $1,600,000, maybe $1,500,000. But that's the key. You have to first buy it, bring in the down payment, pay for all the closing costs, okay, which could be 3%, up to 10%, up to 20%, depending on how much money you're going to put in there. And then once you're in there, then and only then you need to bring in that $40,000, $50,000 on this end or $200,000 on this end to go and fix it up. And then, yes, you have built-in equity. You've created your own value. So the last thing, last myth today, myth number 5, there's 10 of them. I'm going to do a separate second part to the 10 myths because we're running long. The 5th myth is that your only upfront cost is your down payment. This is not true. On the buy side, you have about 1 to 3% of costs to purchase a property. Number 1 is when you go into escrow, okay, you have to put your down payment in. You also have to get an inspection, a full inspection. Sometimes you need additional inspections that'll cost you even more. Then there's additional buy-side closing costs. You have mortgage expenses. You have your mortgage points. You have closing costs on the mortgage side, and then you also have your escrow costs. The buy side has an escrow cost as well. That's not covered by the seller. There's taxes that every city may impose even on the buy side. They're heavier on the sell side, but even on the buy side, you might have closing costs and taxes and city fees and things like that. If you have a mobile notary come out to you to sign your mortgage docs, you're going to need to go ahead and pay for that mobile notary, and that's about $250. Additionally, there's something called title insurance. Now, the seller pays for buyer's title insurance, at least here in California, but you have a lender's title insurance policy that you have to pay for. So there's a lot of costs, but they're anywhere for about 1 to 3% depending on where you live. Okay, so those are the 5 myths. Number 1, you don't need a 20% down payment. Don't let anybody tell you that you do. Real estate agents are not expensive, and if you try to use one, not use one, who will watch your back and that you trust, you're going to be caught with a lot more expenses down the road, because we're here specifically to watch your back as a buyer. Third, call the real estate agent right when you know that you're ready that you want to go ahead and purchase, so they can get you to do the right steps to get ready for that process. Number 4, fixer-uppers. My phones are ringing off the hook. Fixer-uppers are only more budget-friendly if you have the money to fix it up after you buy. And number 5, your only upfront cost is not just the down payment. You have closing costs and lender costs when you're purchasing a property. Everybody, I'm Roman Shersher, your #1 online resource for buying property, and not only buying it, but buying it right. Remember, you don't make money when you sell the property. You realize your gain. You make money when you buy. Have a great day.